Hello, welcome to lesson 13 on the design and implementation of Soccer League Transfer Portal using server-side Blazor. I'm Benjamin Ferdinand. In this lesson, we shall be customizing and implementing user access control for player position Crud pages. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is to ensure that my SQL Server service is running. So I'm going to look for the SQL Server instance named Ibukun. So I can see that it's in running state. Now the next order of business for me is that I'm going to start Radzen. So this is the Radzen link on my desktop. So I right click on it, then I select open. Then I would double click on the project Soccer League Transfer app to open it. Let's run the project to see what we have so far. So the project has started. I log in as Moyik. I type in my password and I click login. Now I'm going to click on the player positions link, and I already have some records there. Now let me click the add button. Okay, so it says the validation control is fired when I try to insert a blank player position. Click cancel. Okay, let's do some bit of customization. So what I'm going to do is I will stop the application in Radzen. Then I'm going to click on add player position page in Radzen. After clicking on that page, I'm going to select the required validator, and I'll customize it by putting a space in between position and name. Then I will go to edit player position. I'm going to put a space between position and name in the required validator. Then the next order of business for me is that I'm going to implement the confirm delete player position page. How do I do that? I'll right click on edit player position, then I'll select duplicate. Then I'll right click on the copy of this page that I've just made, then I will select properties. Then I'm going to change the name of the duplicate copy of that page to confirm delete player position. After that, I will click save. Now, after clicking save, the next piece of business for me is that I'm going to delete the required validator on this page. I will delete the text box on the page. After that, I will go to toolbox. I'm going to search for a label in the toolbox. Then I drag and drop the label inside this second column there. Then I'm going to change the text property of the label to $player position dot position name. Then I will close the parentheses. I will ensure that I close the parentheses. Then I will click outside. I'm going to select the button, the save button. I'll change the text to delete player position. Then I'm going to change the icon to close. Then the next piece of business for me is that I'll go to the outline view. Now I'll select the first row in the form. I'll right click on that first row, then I will say duplicate. After duplicating, I'm going to select the right column in the first row. I'll right click on the right column in the first row. I'll press delete. After pressing delete, I will select the label on the left column in the first row. Then I'll press delete. Now the next piece of business for me is that I'll go to the toolbox. I will drag and drop an heading here. After dropping the heading, I'll go to properties for the heading. I will change the size of the heading to H1. Now, after changing the size of the heading to H1, I will change the text to player position. Then I will adjust the H1 so that it fits a single line. Now, the next piece of business for me is that I'll go back to outline view. I'll select the row that contains the heading. I'll duplicate the row. Now, after duplicating this row, I'm going to select the duplicate player position heading. I'll go to properties. I'll change the size to H3. Then I'll change the text to confirm if you want to delete this player position. Confirm if you want to delete this player position. Okay. Now, the next piece of business for me is that I'll go back to my pages. This time around, I'm going to look for the player position list page. Player position list page. This is the player position list page. I will select it. Now, after selecting it, I'll click on the data grid on the page. After selecting the data grid, I will go to columns property. Then I'll select the last column, which actually houses the delete icon. After selecting that last column, then the next piece of business for me is that I'm going to click on edit template. After clicking on edit template, I'll click on the delete icon. Then after selecting the delete icon, I will go to events. Now, after going to events, I'm going to undo the click event handler. Now I'm going to delete all the current event handlers there. Then I'll click the plus button to add my own event handler. Then I will select the action type to be open dialog. Now the page I'm going to open dialog to will be confirm delete player position. Then I need to set a parameter. The value of the parameter will be position ID under template properties. Then I click OK. Then the name of the parameter will be position ID. Then I click done. Now after doing this, I will now click on end template editing. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to go back to confirm delete player position. Now, it is time for us to implement the actual delete method. Now, when you go to outline for this page and then you select the form and then you go to events. You actually now this is the submit event. Let's see what the current methods are. Now, when the form is submitted currently, what actually happens is that an update method is called, but we don't want that one to happen. What we want to happen is that we want a delete method to be called. So what are we going to do? We are going to click cancel for now. We are going to close the application in Radzen. After closing the application, we'll go to show. So after closing the application, we go to show application directory. Now, after going to show application directory, we double click on the Visual Studio Solution file to open it in Visual Studio 2019. So now that we have our project open in Visual Studio 2019, I'll go to Solution Explorer. Then I will scroll down. I'm going to expand confirm delete player position .razor. I'm going to open confirm delete player position .razor. So I'm going to implement a custom method. Custom method to delete player position. So I have private async task Muyik delete player position. Try catch exception. Notification service dot notify notification severity dot error position delete error detail and error occurred. Why you were deleting player position. Please contact system admin. Display this error message for 5 seconds. Delete player position record passing in the position ID of the selected record to the delete method as parameter. So how do I do that? I'll say await data dot delete player position taking position ID. Sorry, I need to rebuild the page so that the parameter can appear. So for now, I'll come here, I'll open the application. I will run the application. So the application has started again. I go back to Visual Studio. I uncomment this line back and I try to pass in the parameter. Now this is the parameter, it shows up in IntelliSense. Redirect to layer position list page. So URI helper dot navigate to layer position. Stop this. Layer positions. So layer theme positions. First load true. Now the next piece of business for me is to hook up this method in the designer. To hook up this method called weak delete player position. So what I'm going to do is I'll go back to Radzen. I'll look for confirm delete player position. Then I'll go to the outline. I'll select the form. I'll go to events. I will alter the submit event by deleting all the current event handlers and adding my own. And my submit event handler will be execute C#, which is that I'm calling my custom method weak delete player position. I say await weak delete player position. I click done. I save everything. Now method weak delete player position now has one reference. Now the next thing for me is to implement user access rules for add player position, edit player position, confirm delete player position, and the list page. Now, for all the pages that I've just mentioned, I want only site admin to be able to access these pages. So first of all, I go to add club detail. This is the access control logic that is there. So I copy it. So now I will now copy this method. So after copying this method, I will now take it back. I'll now take the method. I'm going to take the method to add player positions page. So I copy and paste the method inside add player position.razor.cs. So after pasting the method, I'm going to import all necessary namespaces. So now this is the method that is checking user status, checking if a user currently belongs to admin role. Now what I'm going to do is this. I'll now go to add player positions page in Radzen. I will hook up this newly added method, the custom method. How do I do that? I'll go to the load event and add player position page. I will promote my empty event handler to the top of the pile. So I'm now going to select action type, which is execute C#, and I'm going to set the name of the C# code I want to execute to await check user status. After that, I will click done. Now, the next piece of business for me is to copy this method, check user status. After copying this method, I'll go to Solution Explorer. Then I'll go to Edit Player Position.Razor. I'll expand it and I will paste this method inside Edit Player Position.Razor.cs. After pasting the method, I will import all the necessary namespaces. Then I will go to Edit Player Position. So I will go to Edit Player Position in Radzen. I'll go to the load event. I'll add a new event handler. I'll promote the event handler to the top. I will change the action type to it for it to execute C#. And the name of the code to be executed will be await check user status again. Then I click done. Then we go back to Visual Studio 2019. I'm going to copy the access control method again from Edit Player Position. I'll go to Solution Explorer. I'll look for Player Positions page, this Player Positions page. I'll copy and paste the method in player positions.razor. I will import all the necessary namespaces again. I'll import all the necessary namespaces. I'll import all the necessary namespaces. After importing all the necessary namespaces, I'll go back to player positions in Radzen. This is the list page. I will open the load event handler. I will add a new empty event handler. I will set the type to execute C#, and then I'm going to say await. To say await what? Check user status, and I click done. Then the last page I'm going to implement access control for is the confirm delete page. So I'll go to Solution Explorer. I'm going to open confirm delete player position dot razor. I'm going to paste. So now I'm going to import. I'm going to import all the necessary namespaces. So having imported all the necessary namespaces, the next thing is for me to call this method from Radzen. So uh, I'll go to confirm delete player position. I will open the load event. I'll add the empty event handler. I'll set the action type to execute C#. And I'm going to call await check user status. Then I click done. I'm going to promote await check user status to the top of the pile. I click done again. Then I'm going to go to Solution Explorer. I'm going to still expand confirm delete player position.razor.cs. I will open the designer code. Now I will look for the load event. I'm going to copy these two lines. After copying them, I will take them back to confirm delete player position.razor.cs. I'll paste them in the if block for which checks whether the user belongs to site admin role. And then what I will do in the else block is that I'm going to redirect the logged in user back to player positions list page if the logged in user does not belong to the site admin role. I'll first load the page as well. And then I'm going to go back to Radzen. I'm going to go back to Radzen. I'm going to delete the second event handler, get player by position ID. Then I click done. Why? Because already I'm calling it inside check user status. But there is a little issue. We don't have player position object. So how do I undo that? I'll go back to Radzen. I'll create a new event handler. I will set it to the top of the list. I will set the action type to set property. Excuse me. The name of this new object that I'm going to create will be player position. So it's going to be new what? I go to Solution Explorer. I go to my models folder. Here I have player position.cs. So it's going to be new soccer league transfer app dot models dot con data dot player position, copy it, paste here. So I click done. When I come back to confirm delete player position Blazor.cs, the error is now taken care of. Now it is time for me to test everything that I've been doing. So what do? I'm going to run the whole stuff in RS Express. So I now log in as Ronaldo. I type in my password. I click login. When I try to access the what I just did was I tried to access the player positions page. Let me repeat that. I log in as Ronaldo. I type in my password. So I click on player positions. Takes me to login page. By contrast, when I log in as Moyek and I type in my password, I log in as Moyek. I type in my password, click login, and I go to player positions. It allows me in why I belong to the admin role. Now, when I click on add, it allows me to see it as well. Let me add a new position called sweeper. I click save. Okay, it's loaded, and let me edit the sweeper stuff that I've just added. Let me change it to sweepilo. I click save. It's reflected. Let me delete it. Confirm delete player position. Confirm if you want to delete this player position. So I say delete player position, and off it goes. So we have come to the end of this lesson. Thank you for watching.